What's up, UFC fight fans? Gage here with Global Combat News, here to give you a full betting breakdown on UFC 320. I'm just going to give you the full breakdown how I think the whole main card will go, and then I'm going to throw a little parlay that I put down for this Saturday's pay-per-view at the end of the video, so stay tuned. First fight of the UFC 320 pay-per-view main card goes down in the middleweight division between Joe Pyfer and Abus Magomedov. It's a very good matchup to start the main card after a very stacked undercard that you're not going to want to miss. Everybody remembers the line, "Be like Joe Pyfer." Since that Contender Series moment, which went viral, he's had a pretty good results inside the UFC. He's a very good striker, powerful, athletic guy, big for the division. He's currently riding a 2-fight winning streak, and he comes in this fight as pretty moderate favorite. Abus Magomedov, on the other hand, is currently riding a 3-fight winning streak, even though I think it's against lesser UFC comp. These are two guys that are still a little bit unproven, both looking to jump into that top 15 range. Pyfer might be ranked at the lower end of it, but both guys looking to break into the higher end of the rankings at the middleweight division of the UFC. I currently have Pyfer early. I think in a couple fights Abus has had, he didn't take shots very well. He didn't use his length for the division very well, and in this fight I don't think it's going to matter very much, because I think Pyfer's a little bit bigger, he's a little bit more athletic, a little bit more powerful. This is a good fight to start the main card, but my prevailing wisdom says that Joe Pyfer gets it done inside of the first or second round. If I had to guess, it'd be by knockout. Joe Pyfer, be like him. The second fight on the UFC main card goes down in the men's featherweight division, as we have division staple Josh Emmett versus highly rising up-and-coming Youssef Zalal. This line is a little insane to me. Zalal is closing at something as like a minus 500 heavy favorite, I believe. And now I understand why a lot of people are hyped on Youssef Zalal. He's a very talented fighter, very good everywhere, has good striking. He's very quick for the division. This is his second stint in the UFC. I believe he went something like 1-3, 2-4, something like that. His first UFC stint was cut, but since then he's won 7 fights in a row, including 4 since he's came back to the UFC. He's looked very good, very sharp, but the fact that Josh Emmett is a plus 360 when this guy has fought the best of the division that you could possibly think. He's fought Yair Rodriguez, he fought Jeremy Stevens back in the day, he's knocked out Bryce Mitchell. He is getting a little bit up there in age, and he is 1-3 in his last 4 fights. But like I said, he's fought nothing but the tippy top of the division. I think this is a big step up for Youssef Zalal, and I'm actually going to take Josh Emmett by knockout inside of 2 rounds. I think it's a little bit too much for Zalal at this moment in his career. I believe he is on the way to being a ranked contender and a guy that will be competing in a very good amount of fights, possibly even for the title eventually. But at the moment, I think that line's a little ridiculous. Minus 500 heavy favorite. Now, like I said, Zalal is very talented. It wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't come out there and beat Josh Emmett. I'm not saying he doesn't have that capability, but my prevailing wisdom says that the experience, the power, and the anti-wrestling of Josh Emmett will be what gets it done. I'm going to take Josh Emmett inside of 2 rounds. He's closing as a plus 360 heavy underdog, and I'd hammer the knockout line by him because it's probably even more than that. Josh Emmett, KO, inside of 2 rounds. The next bout on the UFC 320 main card is a certified banger in the UFC light heavyweight division, as you have former champion Yuri Prochazka versus former title challenger Khalil Roundtree Jr. This is my early pick for fight of the night, the matchup on the card that I am most intrigued in. When you see Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Roundtree, you know that is a very fan-friendly style fight and a bout that should produce fireworks and maybe an all-time classic knockout, because I expect one of these guys to get the finish, and for as long as this fight lasts, I think it should be carnage. At the moment, I have Yuri Prochazka by knockout inside of 2 rounds. He's a little bit more experienced than Khalil. He's unorthodox. He throws a lot of combinations from a lot of awkward angles, and he moves at a different pace, a little bit differently than anybody inside the UFC light heavyweight division, maybe even the entire roster. Roundtree, on the other hand, he's more of a basic Muay Thai practitioner. That's not to say that he's a basic striker, because he's a very elite striker. He has great power for the division, superb kicks. If you eat a few Roundtree kicks, you're not going to be able to walk on your leg, and that's the way a fight could end very easily. I think the way Yuri fights, he's going to try to get in on Khalil, but keep it at a distance at the same time. He likes it a lot of dirty things, a lot of elbows in the clinch, a lot of spinning things when he's close enough. But I also think that he will use a lot of the unorthodox jab, and he throws a bit of a hooking uppercut sometimes that I think could land very well on Khalil. If I had to guess, this fight ends by knockout either way it goes. I think it's close to a pick'em. You really couldn't go wrong picking either of these guys. I would probably hammer the KO lines either way. Yuri is my pick at the moment by knockout inside of 2. I think the size, the reach, and the unorthodox striking will be determining factors in this fight, and I expect it to be a war for as long as it lasts. Yuri Prochazka inside of 2 rounds, KO. Next up on the UFC 320 main card, we have the co-main event and the UFC World Bantamweight Championship on the line. We have reigning defending champion Merab Dvalishvili versus a very highly respected, very talented contender, Corey Sandhagen. These guys might be the 2 best guys in the world at this weight class the very moment, and they haven't fought each other yet, so I'm very much looking forward to this matchup and the clash of styles. Corey Sandhagen is very tall for the division, very long, rangy, and he will have a few inches in height. I think it's only 2 or 3, but he's at least 4 inches taller, and he's definitely the bigger guy. But Merab has looked very much untouchable inside the UFC besides his first couple of fights, and that was over 10 to 15 fights ago. He's very deep into a very good winning streak. He snagged the belt a few fights ago from Sean O'Malley. He beat Umar Nurmagomedov, took his O, and then he beat O'Malley again recently, even more dominant than the first time. So this guy looks pretty impressive. He's on a run that makes you think he could be mentioned with some of the best 135-pound champions the UFC has ever seen. I think this fight's line makes sense because just of how impressive Merab has looked as of late, and really the style he has, his cardio, his heavy pressure grappling, he doesn't get tired. I haven't really seen a fight where he's shown much weakness to someone else grappling him and exposing maybe the holes he has if he gets on his back. This guy is one of the best wrestlers the UFC has ever seen, and he has a tank that doesn't make much sense. He can shoot 30 to 40 takedowns in a fight, and even if it's a 3 or 5 round fight, he doesn't look any more tired in the 4th or 5th round than he did when he started the fight. Very scary proposition for the bantamweight division of the UFC to beat him, but if there's one guy that I think could pose some problems and maybe even take that belt away from him, it's Corey Sandhagen. So if I were you, I think Sandhagen is a very smart bet at plus 310. I maybe would hammer the knockout because I could see him catching Merab with something, maybe a flying knee on a entry from Merab on a takedown. But my pick at the moment, I have Merab Dvalishvili by decision. I think his pressure will be a little bit too much for Corey. I think he'll be able to get the takedowns enough. I think Sandhagen will make the fight interesting at some points, but I don't think it will be enough to get the decision. Like I said, this is a fight where I think Sandhagen is a talented enough fighter and shows good enough skills, big enough for the division, and may be able to cause enough problems that you definitely wouldn't be done putting a underdog bet down on Corey Sandhagen. But my prevailing wisdom says that Rob Dvalishvili really gets it done. If I were to guess, it'd either be late sub or decision. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we have the UFC 320 main event, and that is a UFC light heavyweight championship rematch. We have champion Muhammad Ankalaev coming into his first title defense, and he will be taking on the man he took the belt from, former 205-pound champion, former 185-pound champion, and future UFC Hall of Famer Alex Pereira. And those are crazy accolades and things to say for a guy that's only got 15 pro MMA bouts. Pereira, of course, comes from a very decorative kickboxing background. He was a gory kickboxing champion, which is one of the best kickboxing organizations in the world. He had multiple wins over former UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya, and he used that to his advantage and got a very quick title shot down at 185, and he capitalized on it, becoming the 185-pound division champion. Years later, moved up to light heavyweight and became the champion there, a double champion in the UFC. And like I said, future Hall of Famer. This guy has great kickboxing, scary power for the division, and he's a guy that I think could cause Ankalaev a lot of problems in this fight. Even though in the last fight, Ankalaev found a way to get it done, I don't think he looked as impressive as I thought he would have if I were to know he beat Pereira. I don't think Pereira threw enough shots in situations when he could have got Ankalaev out of there, or I'm not saying he hurt him in the fight, but there was moments in the fight where I feel like he didn't let go and throw a lot of the shots that he had in previous bouts. I think a lot of it was the fear of the Ankalaev takedown. Now, even though Ank is more of a striker, he does have good grappling and uses it when he has to, and I think in the first fight, he didn't use as much as a lot of people thought, and probably Pereira thought. So, and my guess is in the second fight that Alex comes in a little bit more confident, a little less wary of the takedown, and he knows that Ankalaev can't really put a shot on him that could put him out of there, because I think Ankalaev is more of a volume guy, and I think Pereira probably took some of the best shots that he could hit him with, and nothing really fazed him. I think Pereira's going to walk forward a little bit more. I think he's going to be hunting for the knockout a little bit more. Ankalaev is a moderate favorite right now, which is, I understand why, because he's beat Pereira before, and it was recently. Neither of these guys have fought anyone else since they fought each other, so they're running it right back. I think Pereira will be a little bit more reckless with his striking there. I think he'll let go a little bit more. Some of those shots that he wasn't throwing in the first fight, I believe he will throw in the second fight. And I think at some point inside of 3 rounds, Alex Pereira finds the chin of Ankalaev and knocks him out to regain his UFC 205-pound division title. Both of these guys, it depends how you want the fight to go. If you're going to put Ankalaev money down, I think you should take decision. And if you're going to take Pereira, you definitely want to hammer that knockout line, because if this fight goes the distance, I don't think that he wins that type of fight. He's going to have to find big shots early, and he's going to have to let go a lot more than he did the first fight. He needs to forget about the takedown for a moment and just try to find that left-hand shot that has made him one of the most favorite fighters in UFC history. Give me Alex Pereira knockout inside of 3 rounds. Enjoy those fights, ladies and gentlemen.
3, 2, 1, fight!